He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back to Circa Hotel, Resort, Casino, Stadium Swim. Connor Happer, Josh Odson, Josh Peterson with you today. We will send you out to the Hey, there's the music.
There's the music. It's 9 o'clock, baby.
There we get some vibes going. Here we go. What do we got to start off the day here today, DJ? Oh, it's Haley Steinfeld.
Okay.
Josh Allen's girlfriend.
Oh, congrats to Josh Allen.
I love Josh Allen.
The best quarterback on the best team in the NFL.
Oh, no. He's better than Justin Herbert.
Oh,
Well,
no.
Definitely better than Justin Herbert.
Oh, no. Disaster.
Josh Allen on his way towards an MVP this year.
Ooh.
On his way towards an MVP.
What about a Super Bowl?
Yeah, is he going to win a Super Bowl?
Yes,
Finally,
this
Mr.
is
Best quarterback in the world.
Yes, Nick. This is the year it happens. Everyone's always like, he can't do it. He can't do it because he's never done it. Patrick Mahomes had also never won a Super Bowl until he had.
Many people don't do things they've never done.
That's true.
You know how John wanted Shohei to be the best MLB player, but without a World Series?
Yes.
Josh Allen is my Shohei.
That's yours.
Yeah.
Josh
By the way,
Allen is my
MVP
Shohei.
odds, plus 150 right now.
Is he the fave?
He is definitely the fave. Lamar Jackson is now behind him at plus
Lamar.
250. Saquon Barkley is now at plus 700, though, by the way.
Hello.
And if you're looking for the
morning show narrative on the Chit Chat shows,
I
Saquon
love
for
it.
MVP.
I love it. It's
John and I talked about it a little yesterday.
It is a great perspective. I hope it happens just to pound on the Giants more.
Also, this is ridiculous. The Bills, they're behind the Eagles, the Ravens, the Lions, the Chiefs at plus 700. That's garbage.
Okay, so it makes sense that the Lions are the Super Bowl favorite
Yes.
because they have the easiest path of making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I guess the Eagles, the argument for the Eagles is the same thing. They're in the NFC, so
Exactly.
they only have to go through the Lions.
Exactly.
And the Bills they'd have to go through the Chiefs and or Ravens, most likely.
That's what it is in the NFL right now. It's
they're
2
better
in the
than those
NFC
teams.
and it's 3 in the
They
NFC.
beat the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs. They're better than the Chiefs. They beat the Ravens.
it's still the
better than
Chiefs.
the Ravens. By the way,
You're going to have to deal with Patrick Mahomes.
we were talking about the Hoosiers and how they can make it to Indy, and I said it would require Maryland over Penn State and Michigan over Ohio State. If you would like to do a money line parlay,
Oh, dear.
$10 bet would pay $1,730.
Go Hoosiers.
That's what we're talking about in terms of getting Indiana to the Big Ten championship.
Google
game.
me.
Google me.
Coach Google me.
Coach Google.
Lots of college basketball coming up today.
Oh,
Look at this.
all right, time for me to go to the bathroom.
Feast week starts with Creighton. Well, is there a game on actually yet? There's got to be one starting.
There's got to
Yeah,
be somewhere.
It's 11 o'clock Central Time, is it not, Josh?
It
Let me
is.
take a look at the
Time
full
zones, am I
slate.
right?
The Bahamas
Oh, yeah.
has got to
Oh,
have a
we
game
got
going.
3 games on right now. Drexel and Chicago State,
Okay.
Jacksonville and Siena, and Duquesne and Old Dominion.
Old
Duquesne,
Dominion.
team who won a game in the NCAA tournament last year, currently 0-6.
Oh, wow. Basketball.
Oh,
Every time I hear Old Dominion, I think it's a beer and not a college.
I think of Nick Baugh.
that's right.
What about that band, that country band? Old Dominion.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a country band called
I'm
Old
not
Dominion?
of country.
You bet I know music.
Do they sing about their trucks and women?
Kind of. Yeah. Old Dominion Freight Line.
Women.
Old Dominion Freight Line.
Hmm.
But in the big time, Creighton has San Diego State today at the Players Era Festival in the power bracket.
What? Is this like a Legends and Leaders situation?
Yes, kind of.
Why? What's the other bracket called?
It's
Finesse?
it's called the Impact bracket.
Okay.
Yep. I
Interesting.
want to watch some Impact bracket tonight because
Do you?
Houston and Bama play each other in fabulous Las Vegas.
I know those teams. They're good.
They
Poll
are.
question,
usually.
do you want to watch some Impact bracket tonight?
I'm ready for some Impact bracket action. Also, there's a game in the Terry's Chocolate Vegas Showdown.
What?
That is Kansas and Duke tonight at
That's right.
T-Mobile
Oh,
Arena downtown.
and then what's the other game in
Down
that
there.
great bracket?
It's like Furman and
Amazing.
Seattle. Or
Amazing.
something. I don't know how they put that tournament.
Mark
together.
Furman?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
it's named after him. UConn will be coming off of their first loss of the year when they play Deion Sanders in the Colorado Buffalo. Wait,
Oh, Coach Prime?
yeah, Coach Prime.
Tough loss for them this weekend versus Kansas. They
Or-
could have had the inside track.
Oregon and Texas A&M in a big meteor game.
Wow, you're out on Oregon.
No, I guess
Don't you like
Dana's
Dana?
cool. Dana's cool.
You want Dana to get hit by a meteor?
Well, just Creighton plays Texas A&M tomorrow.
Okay.
Trev,
Yeah, we don't like Trev anymore.
Oregon, I guess I'm fine with
Every
Oregon.
now and then I get tweeted at by somebody that has like a Trev thing in their handle, like Trev should die.
Take Trev's name off the
Yeah,
stadium.
man, people really hate that guy.
And then, of course, the Maui Invitational presented by Novavax.
What is a Novavax? Is that a vacuum company?
Sounds like
Is that what?
vax.
It seems like something Nick should do to his nostrils right now to help him speak.
I mean, my nostrils are fine. I can breathe fine through my nostrils.
Okay.
It's just my throat.
Many people were wondering, by
Just
the way.
my throat.
Many were wondering about the vlog and how it's going to sound with Nick's voiceover. I think we're all anticipating how great it's going to sound.
Yeah, even more stuffed up than usual.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
But the Maui Invitational will have Auburn and North Carolina tonight.
Auburn, who famously won yesterday.
Against Iowa State.
Why do you got to do this to me? I already feel bad.
Hey, look, the Bills.
Also, Iowa State will play Dayton today in the
Okay.
Maui Invitational.
They better
Nice.
win.
Nice.
I have a Husker topic alert for you, Josh.
Is this the text or the tweet that we got?
No, what is it? What's
Okay.
the tweet say?
There was one, let's see, from Casey. Easiest way to fix Raiola on offense is to remove checkdowns from the pass game. He's Sam Keller 2.0.
Remove checkdowns?
No more checkdowns.
Do you have any idea how dumb you sound right now?
Sorry, Casey.
Let's remove the safety net. Untether yourself.
Yeah.
Throw balls down the field.
Hey, they removed the safety net in Batman Forever, and then Robin's parents died. It led him to becoming a superhero. So, vis-a-vis, Dylan Raiola, without the safety net, superhero.
And Christian Bale did remove the tether from him when he had to climb out of the gulag.
That's true.
And-
That's
but-
true.
You know, the first time he had the tether attached to him and he broke his back and then had to rehabilitate himself
Mm-hmm.
before eventually saving the city.
Yeah.
Mr.
All
Untether Yourself is asking Dylon to tether himself.
I think it's in this case, it's a good thing to have a tether.
Yes.
It's,
Full question?
it's a good thing to have a tether in
Yeah,
this case.
it definitely is.
But let's go to Matt Rhule from yesterday's press conference.
Okay.
I believe the question was from our dear friend who will join the show a little bit later on today, Stephen M. Sipple. Hey, why, what would you say the main difference is? Why is your offense good now when it wasn't good before?
Yeah.
What is
Great question.
44 points and put up yards and yards and yards of offense, and it actually looked good and coherent. Why was the question to Matt Rhule, and here's how he responded.
I think Dana's done an amazing job. Let me start there. But I think if you say it's the play call, you hear Dana on the headset the whole time. He's just talking about execution. Like the guys who practiced the best on Thursday last week played. Some guys had some false starts and some mistakes on Thursday. He's out. 13, you're in. Let's go. So IGC got a chance to play and he made a play in the game. So there's a real focus on execution. And when the guys execute the play calls, and so I think that was the message to the guys, like, hey, if you execute and practice at a high level, you're going to have an opportunity to play in the game, and then when you get in the game, make the most of it. And so when we had penalties, we didn't score on those drives. When we snap the ball on third down, we're going on 2, and we snap it on 1, and all of a sudden the ball's in the quarterback's hands. There's nothing he can do. But when we just settled down and just played, then guys made the plays necessary to make. So it's kind of a blend of everything we've been trying to say to them all year come into life. Like, hey, just go execute. I think the thing Dana's done a great job of is, like I said, he's cut things down to a degree, but also he's demanding that they execute if they want to get on the field. And that's kind of how we handle things on defense. And, I think it's kind of now played over to offense as well.
So that last part about demanding things is pretty important.
Yeah.
But I think the main point there from Rhule was downplaying the idea that Dana Holgorsen has come in and made this gigantic impact. He's preaching the same things that they were preaching before. It's just that now, for some reason, the players are executing better. Do you buy that?
Well, the last part, though, it sticks with me. It's what we've been doing on defense, and now we're doing it on offense. So that brings up the question that I would ask is, like, what? Well, why? Why were you doing it on one side of the ball, which for their faults, for all the faults on defense, which they've definitely had them, they have been the more consistent group over the course of 23 games in the Matt Rhule era, much more consistent than the offense. So they obviously have a little more accountability over there. Why have they not had accountability on the offensive side of the ball? And does this not show Happer with a player many people have many opinions on, and that is Thomas Fidone? 2 snaps on Saturday, has a false start penalty. We don't see him afterwards. We see the other tight ends. The other tight ends are not only on the field, but they're getting targeted. They're having, copious amounts of yards gained.
Copious.
Yeah, maybe dozens.
I think
Dozens.
Kircher had like 28 yards.
Dozens of yards, 24 yards plus a few more. Something's obviously changed on that side of the ball. And it's wild to me. If you would have told me 3 weeks ago, hey, Josh, the offense is going to get better because there is more accountability,
Yeah.
I would have said, what? Like, that's all it took?
See,
why was that all it took?
I think there is that. And that is a talking point in and of itself. But I like one thing that's probably not going to get talked about by Matt Rhule because he has reverence for Marcus Satterfield and doesn't want to throw him under the bus and all this stuff, even though he removed him as the offensive coordinator, is Nebraska now has, and this is not just like rose-colored glasses stuff, Nebraska has an offensive coordinator who is really, really good at offensive coordinating. He is an incredible play caller. He has been known as throughout his career as one of the best play callers there is. And so for Nebraska to go from a pretty rough one to one of the best, and like with all of the things that he has on his resume in that short a period of time, I don't think it's any mistake as to why the offense, it's not just execution and it's not just demanding it. They're actually doing things differently and doing things better. But I don't think Matt Rhule will talk about it that way.
No, he definitely will not. I also think that there is something to be said for a coordinator who knows how to build plays on top of each other and
sequencing.
And yeah, and I think when they line up now, barring it being, 2nd and 1 from the 1 yard line or 3rd and 15 when you have to make a throw, like, they're unpredictable. I went through the final drive that the offense had, the final touchdown drive yesterday. They get the ball with 8.5 minutes left. They're up by 12. That would have been a classic moment for some puckering and let's just try to chew clock. They go pass to start the drive. And I think by that point, Wisconsin was on their heels. And suddenly then they can run the ball a little bit more before throwing it. And I think that is playing a part in it as well.
Got an email here from the Equitable Bank inbox from John. Please explain to me why execution wasn't demanded in Rhule's first 23 games.
I know, it's so weird, man. It's so weird.
That is inexcusable.
Yeah, it's so weird. So weird.
I mean, I don't know. I can't really explain that to you. Once we get through the portal and the end of the season, the bowl game, and we start to kind of look back at what happened this year, the question is going to be, what would have happened, what would have become of this team had they have made a change earlier? Had they have made a change at the offensive coordinator after, I don't know, the Illinois game? I mean, that's probably the moment, right, where you're like, ooh, what's going on here? But it continued to deteriorate as the season went along. Like, even 1 week earlier, did they beat USC if Dana Holgorsen is in place for a game before the UCLA game?
So the offense got off to a good start in the first halves of Colorado and the UTEP game. The Northern Iowa game, I didn't have really any issues with it because it's Northern Iowa. Yep. The Illinois game, I thought the offense was consistently at its best actually throughout that game in those first 4. And then after that, you get into that strange Rutgers and Purdue stretch. I think in hindsight, the moment, and like I was always critical of Satterfield, right? The moment that I thought that it really started showing itself in a negative capacity was the Indiana game. Now that followed an off week, but that game had zero motion, zero movement. It seemed so static and so difficult, and every yard that they gained in that one was so hard. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, we saw Indiana just going up and down the field.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to pin it on one side of the ball.
Yeah, it really is.
Maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer to why they didn't do it sooner is because they never felt like there was a moment for it. You know? But, to Rhule's, Rhule has talked about it in the way of hey, I will do whatever it takes, and I don't really care how it sounds or how it looks. Well, if that was the case, then maybe he knew that, hey, this is not trending in a good direction and something should have happened a little bit earlier. And he didn't have to wait for the right moment because I don't think anybody was particularly surprised. Well, maybe they were surprised that Dana Holgorsen was put in place when he was put in place, but that the move to move Marcus Satterfield out after the UCLA game before the bye week and then into the USC game, I mean, that made a lot of sense just because of the timing of the entire thing.
Yeah, and whereas I mentioned the Indiana game, that followed the off week. So, you probably weren't going to do so there. And look, maybe Happer, it is easy to say, they should have done it after this game or this game or this game. Maybe it needed to deteriorate to such a degree that Rhule felt like it was the only recourse that he had, barring it being back in January. But if they would have brought him in January, he wasn't going to be the play caller. He was going to be the analyst because he wasn't ready to move on from Satterfield yet. I think that the hope was that they were going to have Glenn Thomas, they were going to have Satterfield, and that they were not going to have a quarterback situation that had deteriorated like it did in 2023. And I think he wanted to give him another chance. I just don't think that he saw it going as poorly as it did.
Jeff writes in on the text line.
Hi, Jeff.
Back up the Brinks truck for Holgo the Oko.
Holgo the Oko. Now, remember, some of this will be offset by his Houston salary. Mm-hmm. So,
whatever it is, Nebraska needs to make sure they keep him here.
They can do. I think they can do that financially. It just comes down to, is there a head coaching job out there that offers him a gig? I think that's what it comes down to more than anything else.
Yep, no doubt about it. Zach emails in.
Hi, Zach.
Zach of many emails.
Many emails.
Says there is an obvious improvement with offensive play calling, and isn't Nebraska's point total versus Wisconsin right in line with Holgorsen's career average? Rhule is just running cover for Satterfield. I kind of feel like that's the case too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously not trying to throw his guy under the bus, who he still respects, but that's part of the deal. I mean, you got to find out who's made for the right spot, and they had the opportunity to go get Dana Holgorsen at that time, and so maybe the response should be, well, at least they did it, right? Because I mean, that's
where I'm at with this whole move, man. Like, we all need to give Matt Rhule his flowers for making this move when for years we have asked the coach to fire the coordinator or position coach that we all thought was holding them back. He did it. He did it in season, and then he didn't just bring in some random guy. He brought in a former head coach and a really renowned play caller. And it's already showed itself.
Maybe you're sitting there at the blackjack table and you're kind of observing, or maybe you're sitting at the roulette table. Let's do roulette, and you're kind of observing. You're seeing how the spins are going.
Yeah.
You decide to hold off for one more hand, one more spin, and it hits your number. You're like, oh, dang, I should have been in on that one.
Yeah.
Dang, I should have been in on that one. Or you pull, money off of the bet on the table before you go. Like, maybe we should just be, well, I'm glad I had something on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I had something on it. And that's, I don't know, I kind of feel like that's where Nebraska's at. You just hope that it didn't. I mean, obviously it's salvageable because what they did against Wisconsin,
it shows that they made the right move.
It shows they made the right
move.
It's
now it is inarguable.
They're back. Like, I mean, the consternation about Dylan Raiola leaving was at a peak going into the most recent game, the Wisconsin game.
1 week ago today, people were really, really worried about it.
And now there's no concern about it anymore.
I would agree.
There's very little concern about it anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's what this was all about, then, the job is kind of done that way.
Yeah.
What's the
he held up concern.
Oh, Josh has got the concern sign.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're gonna have reaction overreaction coming up during the show.
I'm looking forward to it.
Anything in the comments, Josh?
Well, there was one. I always argue with listener Jimmy because I feel like Jimmy has weird questions like this one. If Parker stops Dana on Friday, are we still super high on Dana? Like, yes. The answer is, like, are you going to change your opinion on Dana Holgorsen if Iowa has a solid day versus Nebraska's offense?
To me, I thought it was clear the difference he made, and it wasn't just like guys executing better. In the USC game,
I know, even though he
was here for 4 days.
Yeah, even though they scored 13 points, like, you can't be a believer in Jimmy then gets mad. Did you read my next comment, Josh? Yes, Jimmy.
Read them all, Josh.
I'm reading the first comment. Read more of my comments. Have better comments, Jimmy, and maybe I will. But if you're a believer in the process, and by the way, he says, I'm speaking for the fan base. The fan base is so quick to jump to conclusions. I don't know what that means. I personally, if you're a believer in the process over just the result, I'm with you about the USC game. Only 13 points, and yet I thought the offense looked fairly well. If they struggle versus Iowa, it is what it is. And like my thought right now,
it's about how it looks, right? Is it comfortable? Does it make like are they doing the things that would lead to scoring points?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a process oriented thing. It's like it's a vibes thing, sort of.
Yeah, and then
the vibes were just horrendous with the offense before Dana Holgorsen.
And then are you hoping that after a full off season of really being able to learn the playbook. Dana Holgorsen actually learning the names of his players.
That helps.
That those things are going to result in the offense being better / more consistent on a week in, week out basis.